I know the new generations are looking for online and they probably are achieving success because everybody's following that. But I think um, longevity and success is going to require hard work. I think it really does.
All right, welcome back to Exploring Growth. Today, I have the privilege of interviewing a local Central Florida CEO as part of the CEO series, who has been in the business in the game for many decades. And I'm here with Chuck Link, the CEO and founder of Link Outdoor Lighting. Welcome, Chuck.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, as I was telling you, when I came across your company and your profile, I was looking for someone, in the Central Florida area to interview for this series that appeared, anyways, that you had started something, founded something a long time ago, had grown it, stuck with it, for many decades, and then I found you. So I'm happy to have you on the show because I'm excited to hear about your story. You just you a lot of the youngsters these days are all about trying to create something that they can sell almost immediately and make billions of dollars. They throw the word billions around more than they do millions these days, which I think is absurd. So it's great to meet somebody and talk with somebody who's built something substantial, that's sustained over many years, and still in it. So as I look at your website and I see, you guys have a lot of video, and you're in a lot of those videos, and so it's obvious that you're still got your hand in there. You're still working and thinking about that business. So yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
Well,
Um,
thank you for having me, for sure.
yeah. So I thought we could just start back, kind of day one. I did a little digging on your background and how you got started, and it seems like you had a couple different companies as you matriculated there. Just give us a quick rundown on what's Link Outdoor Lighting like. Where did you start? How did it come about? That kind of story.
Glad to, and as brief as I can make it.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit earlier off camera about the water ski thing. I'm a tournament water skier. Actually, I'm haven't tournamented in a long time, but
Yeah.
I say a long time, a few years.
Yeah.
But I still practice daily and at a level to compete. So I met a guy, a friend of a friend, skier, came to town, and he owned a big landscape company, and he was on the board of Land Wizards and a number of. He was connected,
Hmm.
and we hit it off. We skied together, and he insisted that I get into the Christmas lighting business.
Okay.
And I resisted with
Yeah.
everything I had. I had no interest in it. And but he just kept after me with no obligation to him. And end result is I had another ski friend and he had gotten laid off. He was a stuntman at Universal.
Okay.
Came to me and said, "Hey, I'm looking for work." And I said, "Well, let's do this Christmas thing." And that fellow was Larry Brown. He was from Mississippi, and he encouraged me to buy a franchise, a Christmas light. I didn't even know such a thing existed,
Yeah.
but I did. And the first year we were new franchisee of the year, so we grew
That's
real
awesome.
fast. Now, all the credit goes to Larry because he recognized that Windermere area and the potential for high end customers who were hands off on
Yep.
their property maintenance and things like that. And
Hmm.
he saw that. So now he was from Buckhead, Atlanta,
Okay.
similar neighborhood.
Sure.
So I did the Christmas lighting thing and was very successful. And I'll tell you, it is lucrative and it
Hmm.
still is to this day, but it is an intense work drill. It
Right.
is very hard. And I owned a territory and then I bought another one down in Weston, Florida. And both of them were very successful. And it was really a lot of hustle. I mean, it worked hard. It's hard work. I don't. I know the new generations are looking for online, and they probably are achieving success because everybody's following that. But I think um, longevity and success is going to require hard work. I think it really does.
Yeah.
So I worked hard and was extremely lucky. But anyway, both locations really took off. So much so that some of the other franchise holders saw how well I was doing and made me an offer to buy out.
Mm.
I did it.
There you go.
So I sold out. And uh, I will tell you, in my history of owning businesses, even before the lighting thing, I could go way back, and
Yeah.
you can see I'm not a young pup. It's always been hard work that made you successful, and predominantly every business that I've ever sold, the new owners were not successful.
Mm.
Uh, so again, I go to hard work and attention to detail. If you're asking me questions, so
That's
we'll
right.
talk about that more. But so I sold the Christmas lighting business, and the employees that I had were, well, what are we going to do now? And so that franchisor had um, a landscape lighting division, and I said, well, let's try that.
Right.
And so we did, and again, very successful. But I saw that there was opportunity in the distribution of the products,
Okay.
and it was really hard to get products. We were able to do nice lighting jobs, expensive lighting jobs, but
Hmm.
really struggled to get the quality products. So I kind of morphed into distribution.
Okay.
And it wasn't long after that that, again, very successful, very lucky. Um, I had an offer to buy me out, a couple offers,
Yeah.
and I sold it again.
That's
And this fellow was a former executive of PepsiCo and a very smart, very successful guy himself, and very hands on. And he did a great job, and he paid attention
mhm.
and followed the game plan perfectly, and he was successful. And I stayed on with him. And as I mentioned to you, I was involved in this real estate development at that time,
Yeah.
spending all the other money I had made. And that was in 2007, 2008. So we went
Oh,
through not a crisis, but a frightful, frightful
yeah.
time. And so he was happy, I think, that I stayed on, and I stayed on working for him
Okay.
in my old company.
Yeah. So that
And
worked out pretty good. Yeah.
it worked out good for both of us
Yeah.
because you couldn't separate me from that company, and the customers
Yeah.
didn't, and he didn't insist on being the point man. And so
Sure.
he he went on to be extremely successful with me as the number two man.
Yep.
And in 2015, I worked for him for quite a number of years, but it was we were doing great, and he was compensating me accordingly. But 2015, 14, 15, 14 maybe, he sold it to somebody else,
Hmm.
and they followed the path that most of
Yeah.
the buyers did everything wrong. And
Yeah.
by 2000, late 2015, they let me go and without a non compete.
Oh,
And,
yikes.
and so, and I really had no intentions of getting back in the lighting business.
Yeah.
I was real close to retirement.
Hmm.
But one of my customers I had scheduled appointments, and then he insisted that I help him. He was worried about him. Hey,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
have a meeting set up with myself and you and the client, and I really need you. And I said, well, okay. I mean, I'll come anyway.
Yeah.
And so my wife and I went to Sarasota, met with them. I mean, some of these houses are multi-million dollar places,
Yeah.
and we did business. And I came home and I said, well, I I think I'll just get back in.
You're back in the business. Yeah.
And luckily, um, you always got to do the right thing. And you're asking me about growth potential
Yeah.
is I think your question. I'm probably off of that, but to be successful, do the right thing all the time.
Yeah.
And I always had a good reputation with manufacturers, suppliers.
Hmm.
Tried to have a good reputation with everybody I had business with,
Yeah.
and so it was real easy for me to get started again.
Yeah.
Real easy.
So at that point, is that when you started Link Outdoor?
Well, prior to that, it was Florida Outdoor Lighting Distributors and Southern Outdoor Lighting Distributors. I had a branch in Hattiesburg, Mississippi,
Okay.
and AJ bought that out in can't remember. I want to say 2007,
Hmm.
5. I don't even remember the dates, but nevertheless.
Yeah.
And then I started in 2015 Link Outdoor Lighting Distributors.
Okay. All right.
So
Yeah.
that
So, and then you have a co-owner, right? I think I saw
right,
you.
Glenn Stoddard. Well,
Okay.
again, fortuitous. It was in October when I started, and
Hmm.
then uh, out of out of my spare bedroom
Yeah.
in the garage, and so
Yeah.
we started getting products, and I say we, my wife and I hired a guy, a helper, and then Christmas party. Glenn and I were friends. We ran into each other, and he said, "Hey, I'm looking for something to do." And
Hmm.
I said, "Well, I'm doing this,
Yeah.
but I can't afford to pay you." And he said, "Well, I'll come and see you, and we'll work something out." And we did, and
Yeah.
we were a good team. And credit to Glenn. I mean, he helped the growth and the success,
Hmm.
and he brought a lot to the table. But in the
Sure.
end, he followed the same old Chuck Link hard work formula.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Show up, put the work in,
yeah,
pay attention
and
to the details. Yeah.
attention to the details, and try to always do the right thing. So uh, within a few months, we were looking for a place, so we rented a place in Altamont Springs,
Okay.
and then that grew, and we started seeing the potential to branch. So our first branch was in Naples, and before we left our rental facility in Altamont,
Hmm.
we opened Naples. Then we bought property there in Altamont, so we have our own warehouse.
So what attracted you to Altamont when you were you? It seems like you were operating out of your home in DeLand, right?
Well, DeLand's a little far from the potential client base.
Okay. So you
So
wanted to get
and
closer to the actual client.
to
And
where
at
the
that
action.
point, who was the client? Who was the actual ideal?
Contractors of all types. I mean, it could
Okay.
be, for example, I would say landscape contractors are probably maybe our biggest base. Irrigation contractors, paver contractors, pool builders, boat dock builders.
Okay.
Um, it's endless variety. But if you think about where the money is, where the
Hmm.
concentration of the expensive homes are,
Hmm.
um, and really probably at that time we would have preferred to have been maybe more Windermere, Winter Garden,
Yeah.
Ocoee area
Hmm.
for easy access, particularly like Ocoee because all of the
Hmm.
main roads
All
converge
roads
there.
lead in. Yeah.
We couldn't find anything that we could afford. So
Yeah.
Altamont was a good second choice. Again, good, easy access to where we were.
Yeah.
And
Close to I-4.
prior to that, we had contractors coming from Windermere, west of Orlando, all the way out here to pick up products.
Now that shows you some demand right there.
Yeah, so we were real happy. We were real encouraged by that, but we knew that if we moved more central Florida,
Yeah.
we would be better off.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. And so then, how did you go from operating out of Altamont? That makes sense to me now. To Naples.
Um, One of our manufacturer reps
Okay.
had a great guy. We're stay friends to this day. He suggested that Naples was a good market. Now we were already shipping quite a bit of product to
Okay.
Naples, So we knew two things would happen. We would, if we open up a branch in Naples, now the Altamont Springs is going to suffer,
Sure.
but that's okay. And we thought that there could be um, potential for greater
To
growth there
expand there.
because, again, some Naples contractors were reluctant to place orders
Hmm.
next day product. They want to come in hands on.
That's
There's
right.
always that
Yeah.
element. So we did. We got lucky. We got a real good store manager down there, just a really good young pup, and wasn't sure he was learning all the
Yeah.
Chuck ways, but he did, and he's doing a great job. I mean, to
Yeah,
this,
that's great.
yeah,
And so then if you're moving to a new market like that, there's going to be some, probably a lot of crossover in terms of who your customer is and how they're serving the end customer. But if you're looking at a new market like that, how much work did you do on looking at competitors and who's already there and how they're already being served? How did you go about that work?
we knew the marketplace pretty well for sure.
Okay.
The whole Florida marketplace. I think we know the whole USA marketplace pretty well. So
Yeah.
we know who the players are all across the country,
Okay.
and the same. A lot of them are huge corporations with many branches. So we knew what the play was going to be,
Okay. So it
and
sounds like they're probably hands off. You could be hands on. Uh,
our business has always been on customer service,
Customer service. Yeah.
attention to the details.
That's right. Yeah, making sure
Every
people knew that you're taking care of them and actually taking care of them and knowing their business, what serves them. Yeah, that's a great roadmap.
every aspect. I mean, we paid attention to all the details. That's
So
right.
then once you got Naples up and going, then what was your next? How did you
Well,
think about the next location?
again, fortuitous, very lucky. I'll tell you, I'm lucky. Not so much
Yeah.
skill, but Glenn had a real good friend, childhood, grew up together guy, and he was in the oil business in Texas.
Okay.
Texas is a real strong lighting state. Um,
Okay.
Money there, number one. Number two, it's taken hold. You know, they always say, and probably I can remember growing up as a kid, nobody had irrigation.
Hmm.
Nobody. And then the next thing was, well, they've got irrigation and nobody has lighting. So
That's right.
Texas was a leader in that field, and homeowners and property owners and commercial properties lighting their facilities.
Right.
And we knew that. So it just worked out perfectly. We rented a place, and Todd took off with that and is doing extremely well.
That's awesome. And then so you have Orlando, which is your Altamont
Mm-hmm.
location.
Correct.
Naples, you're out in Texas, and you have a fourth one, right?
We have a fourth one in Nashville. Now we,
Nashville.
Glenn,
Okay.
Glenn and I kind of we wanted to be in Nashville, and we thought that that was a good area to serve. Again, money homes,
Yeah.
the country, business there, and again, a lot of things that was more difficult and a little slower start than any place else, but a
Okay.
lot of things fell into place.
Hmm.
And now Glenn's daughter and his son-in-law run that location, and they're doing well. Struggled at first, I'll admit, but they're doing
Right.
well.
So, how did you think about, as you're thinking about opening new locations and building out current locations? How did you split that focus between, trying to saturate a market or get, more penetration into a market versus getting into a brand new market and starting over? What was your thought process there?
I don't think we had one.
Okay.
uh,
You see the opportunities, you went after them.
yeah, yeah. We had, and we still do. I think we maintain the lion's share of the market. Now, of course, the competitors are going to argue that. No, it's okay, but
Yeah.
the lion's share of the market in Altamont, I
Okay.
think, I think in our niche.
Mm-hmm.
business. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing I learned years ago, before the lighting business, before the Christmas lighting business. Um, Focus, stay focused.
Yeah.
And that focused, I wouldn't say tunnel vision, but it needs to
Mhm.
be
Narrowed in.
pretty pointed.
Yeah.
So we did what we do as good as we could, and not tried to be all things to all people, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Sure. So then, if you're building each location up, how do you think about retention versus new customers that are going to be coming in? I mean, because I know you're working with a lot of contractors, so there's kind of your business model works towards a retention model, where you have people that are constantly you want to keep on board, but you got to look for new ones too.
Correct. The only problem we ever had was we had, I mean, clearly you'd have so many customers
Yeah,
in an area.
that's a good
You know,
problem.
that could be, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, I keep using the word attention to detail. And just recently, my wife and I were in Jackson Hole, and I got kind of mini interviewed by some guys from New York City, and
Uh-huh.
they were asking me questions about this same kind of discussion.
Yeah.
And I said attention to detail, but they really honed in on little aspects of our business. But I will tell you, we try to take care of each customer with such veracity, with such
Hmm.
detail. We develop relationships,
Sure.
and all the people on board have full autonomy
Hmm.
to make deals, if you want
Make
to say
things
that,
happen. Yeah.
to do whatever it takes to make that particular client happy and satisfied.
Yeah.
And we were successful at that. So
Well, I like that a lot. And it sounds like more of a philosophy that's driving the culture of your business versus a methodology where, here are the steps we take. And, so tell me more about then when you open a location or you hire a team or you have to, replace a team member. How do you transfer that culture, that philosophy of, hey, you have the autonomy to make these decisions? How does that work? I mean, because that could be really hard to translate.
you're right, it can be. We've been fortunate to have. To been lucky enough to hire really good people that grasp the concept, bring them. We brought them always to Altamont, and they could see how this machine worked.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so we immersed them
Okay.
immediately in, and they literally sat side by side with Glenn and I and
Yeah.
listened to the conversations and saw the
Yeah.
interactions that we had. Um,
Shows them your approach and how you handle individual situations. That makes a
and they
lot of
could
sense.
see that. Yes, they
Yeah.
could see that. And, we involved everybody in the business, and the guys in New York were impressed with that. I don't know if it's a good thing for other people or not, but they participated in the profit,
Yeah.
and so they could see the importance of
Yes.
getting new customers,
Yes.
retaining the old customers, doing everything to keep number one.
Yeah.
And so it was easy, really. I mean, they just kind of watched and
Yeah.
they learned. They went to Naples, Texas,
Yep.
Nashville, and
Replicated.
yeah,
Yeah.
replicated. That's it. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you basically sounds like what you're doing is you've established a really solid culture and now you're replicating it and you bringing them in and showing the way.
for sure.
Um,
Mhm.
let's switch gears a little bit to marketing because looking at your website I see you have a lot of videos which I think is great. I think because we kind of help people with videos, so we're a little bit impartial, but I think video is sort of this ubiquitous thing that we all consume lots of video every day, but I don't see a lot of businesses really utilizing it as an asset to equip or train or get exposure or awareness. So the way I see it on your website is you have a lot of video that it does show a little bit of that culture where it's authentic. It's like the person I'm talking to you now is the same as what I saw in the video, and same thing with Glenn. And but are do you have like a any rhyme or reason of what you're trying to do with the videos on your site? Like, I guess what I'm saying is, what comes across to me is you're trying to educate your customers, your contractors, and you get a new product in, or an old product, and you want them to understand how it works, and the video is a great way to connect with that. Was that your thinking, or
That's
um,
exactly right. That's exactly right. Now, if you go all the way back to, this is going to be a long answer, but if you go all the way back to when I first started the distribution business,
okay?
um, outdoor lighting essentially, and particularly residential outdoor lighting, was somewhat in infancy. And so contractors knew that this was a way to make money,
Hmm.
um, or they'd heard it was a way to make money, and they looked for somebody to educate them. How could
Yeah,
you do this? And so I built those first couple of years of business on a lot of training. And at that time, the internet wasn't as hot a commodity as it is now. And
hmm,
so a lot of contractors would come and I would hold these training sessions. And then as the internet developed, I realized that people would want to see these training sessions over
yeah,
the internet. And so that's how it started. And then we realized that, hey, the response, they said, man, we really like that video.
yeah,
We didn't know you could do this or that. And so that's how it went. Of course, we
yeah.
want to sell product,
Sure,
and our videos, as you said, they're genuine. They're
that's right.
us. uh, and it was successful from day
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. I mean, from a branding standpoint, that's what you're accomplishing is you are sort of setting the standard for what they're going to experience when they meet you on location. And I always call it, they meet you before they meet you. A lot of like physicians' offices, when they have videos of physicians, there's a lot of anxiety about meeting your physician for the first time and that kind of thing. It's the same concept with other businesses, especially those that need a little bit more hand holding about the product, or how to connect the product to the customer job site or whatever it may be. So it goes a long way, a video, to not only just train and inform and educate, but also to showcase what you guys are about. So I definitely applaud you for all of that, because I look at the website and it's like, oh wow, I could see if I was a contractor, I could be attracted to wanting to do business with you because I'm getting all my needs met.
Exactly, and that was, and then we've always said once we got you, we would
You
keep you.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's I couldn't have said it better. You said it perfectly.
Yeah.
Yes, they say
Yeah.
it.
No.
We had so many. We knew it was successful because we had so many from far away.
Hmm.
Listen, from far away, South Carolina, North Carolina,
Yeah.
Georgia, um, all over. Florida would drive 4 or 5 hours, fly in
Yes.
after seeing videos to
Yeah.
meet us and to see the warehouse and
Yeah.
get a handle on what we're doing and what we could offer them. So
Yeah. It's so interesting too, because it gives you insight into potentially your next market, like just like it did in Texas or Naples, where you have a connection there. People are already starting to buy from you. They're showing interest.
already, yes. So it was an easy transition in all those cases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And this has been a great conversation. I would say, just to kind of finish this out here, where do you see Link Outdoor Lighting going in the future? What's the vision for the company?
We want to do a better job of videos
Okay.
as the internet proliferates video. I mean, there's so much now that
Hmm.
I think we've been remiss in not sharpening our edge video wise. We
Okay.
need to have um, better content, sharper content, more to the point, because
Hmm.
you got 20 seconds and they click off. So
Right.
um,
So thinking more about the engaging part of the aspect of it. So when they see it capturing their attention.
fast
Yeah.
and slick and
Hmm.
just upscale. They're a little bit homemade, and I think that we don't want to lose that, but yet we want to
Right.
have more polished content.
Sure.
Um, One thing we've always prided ourselves in it is having a pretty vast inventory.
Yeah.
And one of our slogans or buzzwords is "Call us first," and we're trying
I
to
like
appeal
that.
to the guy who hasn't called us, but he's desperate for a product, he's at his wits' end, he
Mm.
needs a solution.
Yep.
We want him to call us,
Yes.
and we'll have the solution. I guarantee you we'll have it,
Yeah.
and we'll deliver it on time when we said it, the price we said, and it'll
Yeah.
be competitive. And so we're going to continue to do those things, but a little bit slicker on our marketing.
Yeah. I like that. And are you looking at opening up new locations in the future?
Not yet, not yet,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
it could happen. Well, we're a little bit nervous about the economy over the
Sure.
last, and we want to make sure that we optimize the four that we have.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time. This has been a great conversation as I knew it would. If anybody wants to get in touch with you or reach out for your company, where should we send them?
Um, uh, Chuck or Glenn, they want to reach out by email, would be
Mhm.
Chuck or Glenn at linkoutdoorlighting.com. Our phone numbers, do you want to do that?
Yeah, you can throw your phone number out there. It'd be easy.
My direct number is 407-876-5566, and they can call me directly.
That's great. I love
They'll
it.
get me. They'll get
Yeah,
me.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Chuck. We'll end it here, and we'll have to have you back in time to see how things have gotten along.
Okay. I hope it was beneficial to you and your audience.
That's great. Thank you, Chuck. Talk to you
Yes, sir.
soon.
Okay.